Alright, this is a video on putting heat sets into a WiModem OLED case. Now the cases that I print have holes for the screws and heat sets, but I print them a little bit smaller, and I do that because I want to be able to drill them out to the correct size, because I don't trust the 3D printer to print accurate holes. So in order to do that on the WiModem case, I use machine designations on the screws. I've got a set of very precise drill bits, and I use 18, 30, and 41. 18 is for the head resets, 30 is for the heat sets, and 41 is for the screw holes. So on the back you need to make sure you drill with the 18 no deeper than 4 millimeters. So I've done it plenty of times and I know how deep to go, but you might want to mark your drill bit so you don't go too deep, because if you go too deep then you'll ruin the case. So here I just drill it out. That's the back of the case. Now there's also a head reset area on this part of the case, the inside of the back of the case. Those two holes there, they don't go all the way through, but you need to enlarge those so that the heads of the screws can fit, and those are the heads that hold the board onto the back of the case. So we'll drill those out, make sure you don't go through. Done. And then we've got to drill the number 41 drill bit. And I will post the equivalent in inches, the imperial versions of these machine designations for the drill bit, so you can get the closest one that you happen to have on hand. So then I just drill these holes out after drilling the heads. That makes some nice holes for these screws to go through. So we're finished with that one, and now we just have to make sure that the heat sets are the correct size. You can always check to see if the heat sets fit in first. If you really want to drill them out, it depends on the printer you're printing on. It even varies on my printer. I have a number of printers, and some print different size holes. Some are closer to the heat set size, some aren't, just with the first layer. So anyway, I'll drill these out a little bit. Doesn't need much. Just making them so that they're not too small, but it gives you enough plastic to still bite into with the heat sets. Alright, so we're finished with the drilling. Now we're going to put the heat sets into the holes and melt them. So this OLED case requires 4 heat sets, so we'll put all 4 in. I'm just using the end of an X-Acto knife to push them into the hole. As far as they'll go, and don't try to force it too much. That's what you're going to do with the soldering iron next. And make sure that the coarse part, you can't really see in here, but if you have your heat sets in front of you, there's a part of the heat set, the lower part, that doesn't have the cross hatching, and the part that does have the cross hatching, that's the part that bites into the plastic, and that should be on the top, and the non-cross hatched area goes into the hole initially. So we have that, and then the idea in melting heat sets into a case is you don't want to push them too far in. If you push them too far in, it doesn't make for a very nice looking finish. You want them flush. So on these heat sets, what I do is I heat them. Don't stick your soldering iron into the hole. It'll heat the heat set too fast, and it'll heat the plastic too fast, and then it won't stay in the drilled hole or 3D printed hole. So you want to heat it gradually. So you lay the tip on top of the heat set, and you don't push very hard, but you push a little bit until it starts sinking in. And then you stop doing that once the heat set is about a half a millimeter away from flush. And once it is at that point, put your soldering iron away quickly and take a popsicle stick or something similar. It should be wood and flat, and you put it on top of the heat set, covering some non-heated flat area, and you press down like that. And what that'll do is that'll push the heat set in the rest of the way while the plastic is still melted around the heat set, and it won't burn your finger, and the popsicle stick bridges the non-heated areas, flat areas, so you don't end up pushing it in too far. So you end up just pushing it in flush, and it makes for a really nice finish. So we'll do this on the first one, and you'll be able to see. So I've got it just set on there. It's already starting to move. And it's melted. And now I just push this on and hold it. Apply a fair amount of pressure. Make sure you're overlapping on non-melted areas. That way you're sure that the popsicle stick, the flat surface, won't go past the level of the entire base of the part. So that is done, and that's in, and it's nice and flush. We'll do that with the rest of them. So we've got 2, and they look nice and flush. Hope you can, it'll help to get in there. third one. And the fourth one. Oops, that popped out. Put that back in. So make sure it's in the hole before you start. You don't want it to come offset from where it's supposed to be. Then it'll line up with the other half of the case if that happens. There we go. Now I'll go through the assembly. I always test fit. I have one of each device, an OLED and non-OLED version of this device. And I always test fit one, assemble it into a case that I'm going to sell, just to make sure that when it arrives there's no problem. So there's the OLED version. So I'll show you how it goes together. Goes into the top of the case first, and then you take 1.5 millimeter Allen key wrench, and the 4 millimeter screws go in here, holding the board to the top of the case. Just like that. There. So now the board is attached to the case, and that seems to fit quite nicely. Now we'll install the back of the case, and that will complete the assembly. So again, remember you drilled out these holes here, and they go into the case. They recess into it, and then you just take the screws, and the last two, the longer ones, 6 millimeter M2, and then you just, using the same tool, you almost out of the screen. You tighten them up. And there you go. One assembled WiModem with heat sets. And now this red one, it's already been sold to somebody. I know I can sell it to him or her with confidence, knowing that when they put their OLED WiModem into this case, that it'll fit perfectly. And these Allen, it's 1.5 millimeter Allen wrench, I have them available on the shop. If you don't happen to have the correct size, you can grab one of those. They're quite inexpensive. You only ever need one if you end up getting multiple cases from me. Right, well, that's the assembly and heat set coverage for this case. Thanks for watching.